WAAY 31 is live on the scene.
Fiery California crash hitting home in Huntsville. Singers in a local university choir are counting their blessings this morning. That's after they were caught up in a deadly wreck in California.
Plus, capital murder trial. The man accused in the case dating back to 2016 set to enter a Madison County courtroom for his trial this morning.
Good morning. It's Monday, May 6th. Thanks for watching. I'm Greg Privet.
And I'm Melissa Martin. This morning, we want to check in with WAAY 31 meteorologist Rob Elvington. He's in the Storm Tracker Weather Center with what you need to know as you head out the door for your Monday morning. Rob.
And the big thing to know heading out the door this morning, we are seeing some patchy, dense fog, so that's going to reduce visibility heading out the door. But the sun came up about 10 minutes ago, so now with the sun getting a little bit higher in the sky over the next hour, that's going to help to start mixing that fog out. We're going to return to mostly sunny skies, other than some passing high-level clouds. It's also much cooler this morning. Look at that, 54 degrees in Huntsville right now. We were in the low to mid-60s at this hour yesterday morning. 51 degrees in Decatur, 52 degrees in Muscle Shoals, and 55 degrees in Scottsboro. And we have been seeing some patchy fog throughout the entire Tennessee Valley this morning, but by far where we're seeing the widespread and densest fog is off to the east, including parts of Sand Mountain, including Marshall County, DeKalb County, and Jackson County. So we do have a dense fog advisory that was just issued in the last 20 minutes. This goes until 9 o'clock this morning, but even for areas outside of those counties, some dense fog is definitely possible. You'll notice Scottsboro and Fort Payne reporting 0 visibility right now, so some very dense fog in those locations. Albertville, about a half a mile, and you'll notice for Muscle Shoals, about a mile, so even closer to the shoals, we're seeing some dense fog this morning. Workday weather planner temperatures quickly racing up to the mid-70s by lunchtime, and we're going to top out right around the low 80s this afternoon with just a few passing high to mid-level clouds by the late afternoon hours and into this evening, but we're tracking dry conditions. By tomorrow, we're tracking highs in the upper 80s, so much warmer compared to this past weekend. Your WAAY 31's real-time traffic alert, we are tracking quiet conditions. No major incidents to report on the roadways so far, but we'll continue to follow it through your morning commute. Some drive times inbound to Huntsville, Fayetteville to downtown Huntsville, about 30 minutes. ARAP to Huntsville, about 32 minutes. And take a look at this. Just seeing some fog moving into parts of the area. And we'll zoom in a little bit closer to 565 in University. You'll notice traffic is moving freely. Back to you.
This morning, we are continuing to follow breaking news in Madison as police are on the scene of an active homicide investigation.
Madison police say a shooting happened in the 200 block of Skyline Road. That's near Slaughter Road. It happened overnight. WAAY 31's Rodnea Ross has been there all morning. Rodnea.
Skyline Road here will remain closed until investigators can wrap up their work.
Good morning, Greg and Alyssa. This is still an active scene here on Skyline Road. You can still see police here and crime scene tape all around the area. Now, in the last 10 minutes, I talked to a captain with the Madison City Police who told me that they are still conducting interviews to try to piece everything in this investigation together. Now, the Madison Police tell us that the call came in sometime around 2, and when they arrived, they found one person suffering from a gunshot wound. That person was taken to Huntsville Hospital. Police told us there's also a second victim who died here at the scene, but they're not telling us exactly what happened to that person, whether or not that person also suffered from a gunshot wound. They're not releasing that quite yet. We do know that they will be here for a while as they continue to investigate what happened. Go ahead and take a listen to what Captain John Stringer had to tell us.
We have persons of interest, but at this time, no viable suspects, so we don't have information to release on suspects.
Now, we did ask Captain Stringer if there's any threat to the community. He says that this does look to be an isolated incident, and there's no reason why anyone else should be concerned. We also asked if this will have any impact on schools this morning. He said that it could possibly have an impact on any buses that take this road just because they still have the crime scene tape up. So if you have a child that goes to school in this area and takes a bus that goes on this road, you're going to want to be mindful of that this morning. Reporting live in Madison, Rodnea Ross, WAAY 31 News.
All right, thanks so much, Rodnea. It's now 6:04, and this morning we are taking a look at nearly a pound of cocaine confiscated by deputies in DeKalb County. There it is. Deputies stopped a car along Highway 40 and found this bag of cocaine in the trunk of the car. It happened near the Henniger Drive-In. The driver, Devontae Allison of Huntsville, was charged with trafficking and possession. That same night, deputies say they also arrested 2 other people along the same highway for possessing drugs. 3 people are in the Lawrence County Jail this morning after deputies found drugs in their home near a baby. Deputies stopped by that house for a welfare check. That's when they found meth and drug paraphernalia in plain sight and in the reach of a child. Right now, the three are charged with chemical endangerment and possession.
An Alabama choir will come back home tomorrow. That's after being involved in a deadly wreck in California. One person is dead after the collision between the charter bus and the choir was on and an SUV. WAAY 31's Casey Albritton is live this morning with a look at what happened. Casey.
Greg and Alyssa, what was supposed to be a fun weekend quickly turned into something the choir members will never forget. The fiery crash happened Saturday morning, one day before the Oakwood University choir was supposed to perform in San Francisco. It all happened as the choir was leaving the airport on a charter bus Saturday morning. That's when an SUV crashed into the bus. Take a look at this video. You can see the bus is engulfed in flames. The driver of the SUV died, but all 18 members of the choir survived without any major injuries. Despite what they experienced, the show must go on, and the choir performed Sunday night.
We can't take this thing called life for granted. And this has really taught me that life can be gone in an instant.
Officials have identified the victim as 51-year-old Kenneth Bishop. He leaves behind a 15-year-old daughter. Live in Huntsville, Casey Albritton, WAAY 31 News.
If you'd like to help the choir members recover what they lost in the fire, we have information. It's on our website, waaytv.com. Just click on this story.
It's now 6:06. A judge has now granted a temporary restraining order for a woman after she said her boyfriend choked her and then killed her dog. Jonathan Knight turned himself into police Friday night and bonded out of jail Saturday morning. He was wanted for felony domestic violence and cruelty to an animal. Police say Knight was kicked out of the Panoply Arts Festival for being belligerent. He's then accused of choking his girlfriend and attacking her dog. The dog later died from its injuries. 2 people are dead after a house fire in Muscle Shoals over the weekend. Investigators say they're 64-year-old Anthony Burcham and 96-year-old Glenna Carney. The fire happened early Saturday morning. Officials say the fire was an accident and started near the stove.
Happening today, the Southern Poverty Law Center will address a recent ruling on Alabama prisons. A federal judge ruled Saturday that Alabama's Department of Corrections is not doing enough to address suicide prevention. The court ruled the DOC fails to comply with previous court orders and its own policies. In his 210-page opinion, the federal judge wrote Alabama is putting prisoners in danger by failing to provide adequate suicide prevention. District Judge Myron Thompson ordered the Department of Corrections to make several changes in the evaluation and monitoring of inmates. Attorneys for prisoners asked the judge to intervene after 15 inmates took their lives over 15 months. The judge wrote, the state has recently taken some promising measures, but those were, quote, too little, too late.
This morning, we are taking a look at what the new Madison County Schools Fine Arts Center will look like once it's complete. The plans for the Fine Arts Center include an 800-seat theater, band and choir rooms, and art classrooms. The project will cost around $17.8 million and will be located near Sparkman High School's campus. One student we talked with said they're excited the school system is showing such massive support for the arts.
I think it's awesome that it's actually going to the arts program because that's something that you don't usually hear a lot.
The district says they're hoping to break ground at the end of the school year. The project will take about 18 months to complete.
Rob, we're going to have some summertime weather today.
Yeah, temperatures back up into the low 80s today. Tomorrow, upper 80s. Could even see a few spots reaching for that first 90 of 2019. Most areas still waiting for that first 90. Now, the main concern heading out the door this morning will be some patchy, dense fog. If you look off kind of on the left side of the screen, we're seeing some of that fog this morning in the Tennessee Valley. We also have some of those high-level clouds. So, if you're heading out the door this morning, just a reminder that kids are out at the bus stop. We have some reduced visibilities. Take it slow, but that fog will quickly mix out now that the sun is coming up. There's a look at Storm Tracker satellite and radar. Nothing to show on the radar, but we are seeing some of these high clouds streaming in from out of the west and northwest, but that's about it. So plenty of sunshine this afternoon, up to the low 80s. upper 80s for tomorrow. A very warm afternoon with mostly sunny skies. And then by Wednesday and into Thursday, we start to see increasing chances for showers and thunderstorms. Here's a look at the severe weather risk for Wednesday. And you'll notice the threat for isolated severe thunderstorms is centered to our north and west. And you'll notice a big bullseye as you head closer to Arkansas and off to the west, closer to Oklahoma. So that's where all the severe weather will be on Wednesday. This red contour, it actually gets a little bit closer to the shoals by Thursday as our chances for thunderstorms starts to go up. We'll talk more about that threat coming up shortly.
It's now 6:10 on your Monday morning, taking the time to remember fallen officers.
How folks here in North Alabama plan to honor law officers who lost their lives in the line of duty.
Plus, the president's former right-hand man is now heading to prison, where he's expected to reside over the next 3 years.
Coverage you can count on. You're watching Way 31 News.
Good morning. Thanks for watching. It's 6:14. Here's a live look at Winchester Road. We don't have any word about traffic problems so far here in the Tennessee Valley, but if we find out about any, we'll be sure to let you know.
A group right here in Alabama is now condemning language used by a representative in response to the president's son. This all stems from controversial statements made on an abortion bill by Representative John Rogers last week. Rogers called Donald Trump Jr., quote, retarded or crazy. The group, called the Arc of Alabama, called out Rogers' use of the R word. They said, quote, the Arc of Alabama hopes Representative Rogers will apologize for his use of the R word and engage in the national dialogue about why this word is offensive to people with disabilities across the country, especially here in Alabama.
A student credited with stopping a campus gunman was laid to rest with full military honors. The funeral for 21-year-old Riley Howell was yesterday. The University of North Carolina Charlotte senior died last Tuesday after he tackled a gunman head-on. Thousands signed a petition asking the White House to grant him a military funeral. Happening today, Michael Cohen is expected to report to a federal prison. The former longtime lawyer to President Donald Trump will begin his 3-year sentence in Otisville, New York. Cohen will serve time for financial crimes and for lying to Congress.
New information this morning. A Chinese spokesman says trade envoys are, quote, preparing to travel to the United States following President Trump's new tariff threat. Sunday, the president tweeted, in about 2 weeks, $325 billion of Chinese goods will be taxed shortly at a rate of 25%. He also said 10% tariffs placed last year on $200 billion of goods will be increased Friday to 25%.
In the Way 31 Storm Tracker Weather Center, meteorologist Rob Elvington.
Well, Rob, we've got a little fog out there this morning, but hopefully that won't last too long.
Yeah, we've got a dense fog advisory in place for places like Marshall County, DeKalb County, and Jackson County. But even all the way to the shoals, we are seeing some patchy dense fog. Visibility is less than a mile, but the sun's up now, so we're going to quickly start to see that fog mixing out. Some of those low-lying spots where the fog gets trapped may take a little bit longer here into the late morning hours. But you'll notice a look at downtown Huntsville right now. A beautiful start to this work weekend, to this Monday. You can see some of those blue skies just above the banner. But we are seeing some passing high-level clouds this morning, and that'll continue into the late afternoon hours, but plenty of sunshine to warm up to the low 80s. So 54 degrees right now in Huntsville. That's much cooler than the last few mornings. We were in the 60s yesterday morning, even mid to upper 60s on Saturday morning. And we've got a north-northwest wind at 3 miles per hour. That'll be more of a northeasterly wind by this afternoon. And again, patchy fog this morning. Keep in mind, there's some kids out of the bus stop this morning. Just take it slow. Turn off those high beams if you are running into some of that dense fog this morning. And then much warmer for this afternoon. It's your Tuesday. We're still waiting for our first 90s of 2019. It's still pretty early. If you go back over the last 30 to 50 years, our first 90 is right around the later parts of May. So if we do hit it tomorrow, that'd be earlier than normal, but most areas likely staying in the upper 80s for your Tuesday afternoon. And then our first day that we could actually see a few hit or miss thunderstorms will be Wednesday. Better chances by Thursday into Friday for the Tennessee Valley. And your 7-day rain forecast, this is a blend of all of our different forecast models, and you'll notice a big bullseye off to our west in western Mississippi. That contour is 5 inches over the next 7 days. But you'll notice some of these oranges and reds extend right into the valley, and that's indicating about 3 to even 4 inches of rain once you get closer to the shoals. So it's going to be very wet Wednesday all the way into this weekend with those afternoon and evening thunderstorms. So you get into these bluer colors, that's indicating about 2 to 3 inches of rain. Here's a look at the severe weather risk for Thursday. Just about 5-10 minutes ago, we were taking a look at the Wednesday risk, and it was well off to our west. But by Thursday, you'll notice that red contour just touching the shoals, Lauderdale County. So we'll have to continue to watch that threat Thursday. This is still 3 days out, and that forecast could always change. A look at storm tracker radar and satellite. We've got some high, thin clouds that are moving through the valley at this hour, but a lot of these high, thin clouds, they're coming off the top of this thunderstorm complex that continues to quickly decay. It's going to be almost completely gone by the time it reaches eastern Arkansas, so no chances for that to actually reach the Tennessee Valley later this afternoon and this evening. A look at future radar, 8 o'clock this morning, doing a pretty good job showing some of that fog still in place over the next hour to hour and a half, and then that mixes out, and we're seeing mostly sunny skies, though we will see a little bit of cloud cover by the mid to late afternoon hours and into this evening, and then all the way into your Tuesday morning, we're back to clear skies, and maybe a few spots once again seeing some patchy fog for your Tuesday morning, but that's about it. So look at the big warm-up, 81 today, 88 for your Tuesday, and then we've got those increasing chances for showers and thunderstorms. Thursday is the peak, but you'll notice we're still sitting around about 40 to 50% Friday and into this Saturday, so still very active throughout the Tennessee Valley. It looks like a new crash just popping up, so let me walk over real quick to the Storm Tracker Weather Center, see what we're looking at. It looks like it's close to Decatur this morning, so we'll zoom in a little bit closer, see what we're tracking, and see what this crash is being reported at right now. So you'll notice it's right by the 565 area eastbound. We have a lane blocked at exit 3, County Road 115 by Greenbrier Parkway. So again, this just popping up in the last couple of minutes. So you'll need to give yourself some extra time heading out the door. Back to you.
6:20 on your Monday morning. It's the first confirmed case of the measles right here in Alabama.
What an Alabama mother had to say about the moment she learned her 5-month-old girl was infected by the disease.
Plus, this morning, want to take a look in your freezer before you head out the door. Why Tyson says they're now expanding a recall on frozen chicken products. Tyson is now recalling nearly 12 million pounds of chicken strips because they might contain metal. Tyson is expanding its recall of frozen, ready-to-eat chicken strip products that were shipped out nationwide. More than 69,000 pounds were included when the recall was first issued back in March. The latest recall includes products produced from October 1st through March 8th and have use-by dates of October 1st, 2019 through March 7th of 2020.
The state health department in Alabama says a baby with the measles is no longer contagious. Health officials say the 5-month-old from Pell City was contagious from April 23rd to May 1st. Audrey Peen says her daughter could have gotten the virus only from the doctor's office or when she took her little girl to Walmart. She says Emma is too young to be vaccinated.
She hasn't been able to get vaccinated yet. So it's really scary having a small baby who you know can't have the vaccine yet. And all of the things that the measles brings is really scary when you know your baby's susceptible to getting it.
Since it's a live vaccine, it isn't recommended for kids under the age of 1. The Alabama Health Department says this is not an outbreak, but it's urging everyone who's eligible to get vaccinated.
And as the kids head out to the bus stop this morning, the main concern will be patchy, dense fog. We are seeing visibilities close to 0 throughout parts of Sand Mountain, even all the way to the shoal. So please take it slow this morning. But that fog will quickly mix out through the rest of this morning. We're expecting temperatures already up into the low 60s by 8 o'clock. And by this afternoon, we're back to the low 80s. But we are tracking that threat of thunderstorms later this work week. Well, the details coming up.
It's now 6:26 on your Monday morning. Way 31 is live on the scene of breaking news this morning after police confirmed a deadly shooting in Madison.
What we learn as police are now looking for the person responsible.
Plus, a man is on his way to the Madison County Courthouse this morning. The charges he's facing in connection to the death of a man back in 2016.
Coverage you can count on. You're watching Way 31 Morning News.
Good morning and thanks so much for joining us. It is Monday, May 6th. I'm Melissa Martin.
And I'm Greg Privet. WAAY 31 meteorologist Rob Elvington is in the Storm Tracker Weather Center. He's tracking some fog and a summer-like day. Rob.
Yeah, we're starting off today with some patchy, dense fog throughout the Tennessee Valley. You can see it here in Huntsville right now. This is looking over top of Huntsville from the WAAY 31 sky cam. So some limited visibility heading out the door this morning. Give yourself some extra time. There's kids heading off to school this morning, so just take it slow. But the sun's been out for about 40 minutes, and as the sun gets a little bit higher in the sky, it's going to start to heat things up, and that's going to start to mix out the fog through the rest of this morning. So we just have to hold on for a little bit longer. You will notice, though, we do have a dense fog advisory that's in place through 9 o'clock this morning for places like Marshall, Jackson, and DeKalb County. But all the way to the Shoals, we are seeing some patchy, dense fog. But that's where we're seeing a more widespread fog, and it also gets trapped in some low-lying spots. So it takes a little bit longer for that fog to get mixed out. Some visibility is about a half a mile right now from Muscle Shoals, back up to 10 miles in Huntsville, but it's very patchy. So you could be seeing clear skies in one portion of Huntsville, and then you had a mile down the road, and you're seeing some dense fog. 8 miles in Decatur, but look at Scottsboro, Fort Payne, Albertville, all reporting 0 miles of visibility. So please, again, take it slow. Through the rest of this morning, other than some passing high-level clouds, we're tracking mostly sunny skies. And again, the fog will continue to mix out through the rest of this morning. We are tracking highs right around the low 80s for today, so it's a big warm-up compared to this weekend. By tomorrow, we're tracking highs in the upper 80s, very summer-like by your Tuesday afternoon. And just in the last 15 minutes, we've had this new moderate crash pop up on the WAAY 31 real-time traffic alert closer to the Mooresville area eastbound on 565. We have a lane blocked at exit 3, County Road 115 by the Greenbrier Parkway. We'll continue to follow that. You'll notice that we have some oranges and reds on the map indicating stop and go. Back to you.
Breaking news this morning, Madison police are actively investigating a homicide that happened overnight. This is all happening on Skyline Road near Slaughter Road. Police have been there since 2 this morning. WAAY 31's Rodnea Ross is live there now, where she's been talking with police all morning long. Rodnea.
Greg, Alyssa, there are still police here on scene. You can see that they're still here conducting their investigations. Now, we do know that they are interviewing people connected to this, trying to piece together their investigations, which they said is now a homicide investigation in the very early stages. What we do know is that they say the call came in sometime around 2 this morning. When they got here, they did find one person with a gunshot wound. That person had to be taken to Huntsville Hospital. We do not know that person's condition. We also know that another person in the home was killed. They have not yet told us exactly how that person died, and they're not sure when they're going to actually release that information. I do also know that the coroner has been requested, but I was told that they're not going to release anything from the scene until they finish up their investigation. I also talked to a captain with Madison City Police who told us that they don't have any viable suspects right now, but they do have a person of interest, and we did talk to him about whether or not there's any type of threat to the community. Go ahead and take a listen to what he had to say.
There's no indication that there's a threat to the community at this time, that the incident was related to anything other than the residents and those involved inside.
Now, this portion of Skyline Road is still closed down as they are conducting their investigation. That could have an impact on schools because the school bus would not be able to get down this street. So if you have a child that takes a bus on this route, you're going to want to make sure that you prepare for that. Live in Madison, Rodnea Ross, WAAY 31 News.
It's now 6:34 and happening today. Trial for a man charged with capital murder and first-degree arson is expected to get underway this morning. He was first arrested back in 2016. This morning, WAAY 31's Casey Albritton joins us live at the Madison County Courthouse with a closer look at the case. Casey.
In just a matter of hours, Justin Dwayne Keene will walk into the courthouse and face a jury for his capital murder trial. He was the prime suspect in a case dating back to 2016 where a man died in a house fire in Hazel Green, and then officials deemed it a homicide. Officials arrested Justin Dwayne King for the death of Danny Ray Smith back in 2016. He was indicted in 2018, nearly 2 years later. According to officials, King and 18-year-old Dakota Vickers reportedly discussed the murder in the Madison County Jail to a police informant. Reports say King kicked, choked, and strangled Smith while in the process of robbing him. Then King set Smith's house on fire. King faces charges of capital murder and first-degree arson. King's trial will start at 9 this morning at the Madison County Courthouse. Live in Huntsville, Casey Albert and Way 31 News.
All right, thank you, Casey. Gardendale police are investigating the shooting death of a Vestavia Hills police officer. They say he was killed by his wife. Right now, she's behind bars on a $100,000 bond. The police chief described the shooting as domestic in nature, but the police have not provided any other details. Vestavia Hills authorities identified the officer as 42-year-old Andrew Kimbrell. He served the department since October of 2002. Law enforcement across North Alabama is set to honor 23 law officers who have died in the line of duty. People will gather at the FOP Memorial on the South Side Square of the Madison County Courthouse Wednesday for the memorial. The local memorial comes a week before the National Peace Officers Memorial Day. That's on May 15th.
It's now 6:36. A massive multi-state child exploitation sting took place across several states, including Alabama. About 170 agencies took part in the crackdown, and more than 80 suspects are now behind bars. The majority of the suspects were in Georgia. Investigators say the suspects were either trading, collecting, or producing child porn. A special agent involved in the case said the type of people who engage in those activities often take part in higher offenses.
There is actually a statistical correlation between those people who are collecting and viewing child pornography and those that are committing hands-on child molestation offenses.
The Georgia Bureau of Investigation said 17 children were also identified and rescued across the Southeast. The operation was planned for over 4 months, and the arrests were executed over 3 days. A Tennessee police officer is in jail this morning after investigators say he made arrangements to have sex with a minor. This man, Officer Joseph Miller, has now been charged for solicitation of a minor. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation said Miller attempted to set up a sexual encounter with a girl under the age of 13. Investigators say he intended to pay money to the girl and the adult who was making that arrangement.
If you live in Lawrence County, you may have heard a loud explosion this weekend.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire.
The sound was from the demolition of the old International Paper Mill. Demolition work started back in 2017. It's expected to continue through late this year or early next. International Paper employed about 1,200 people when it closed in 2014.
And this morning, meteorologist Rob Elvington is tracking a beautiful Monday forecast. However, as you head out the door this morning, definitely want to keep an eye on the roadway since we are dealing with some fog.
Yeah, you head closer to Marshall County, DeKalb County, and even into Jackson County, some pretty dense fog, and even all the way to the Shoals, some patchy dense fog. And taking a look over top of Huntsville this morning from our Way 31 Skycam, you can see some of that fog showing up, but you'll notice the sun is up now, so that's going to quickly help to mix out that low-lying fog heading through the rest of this morning. But look at Guntersville and Marshall County. You can see we've got some dense fog in place, and some areas are reporting visibilities close to zero. So with the kids heading out to the bus stop and, of course, a lot of folks hitting the road this morning, just take it slow as we start off this work week. We're also seeing some high, thin clouds moving in from out of the west. These are very high cirrus clouds, so these will not slow us down through this morning and into this afternoon. And these are all originating from this major thunderstorm complex that developed yesterday afternoon. Looks pretty impressive, but this continues to quickly fall apart. By the time it reaches, let's say, the Mississippi River, it's going to completely dissipate. We're not expecting anywhere near any of this rain to make it towards the Tennessee Valley today. Look at your out the door forecast. A quick warm up. We're back up into the low 80s this afternoon, but you'll notice by about lunchtime, mid to upper 70s. And we're going to continue to see highs warm into your Tuesday. And do not forget the sun protection. UV index in the very high to extreme range could burn in less than 15 minutes this afternoon.
All right, thank you, Rob. A pickup truck ended up in a canal in the middle of downtown Huntsville.
How the driver of this truck you see there on your screen made a splash landing.
Plus, special counsel Robert Mueller is set to testify how President Trump is responding to Mueller's decision to speak in front of the House committee.
Coverage you can count on. You're watching WAAY 31 News.
It's now 6:43. Right now, you're taking a live look toward Bob Wallace in the Parkway this morning. As you can see, a little foggy to kick off your Monday morning. We are following any traffic alerts that could have an impact on your commute. However, make sure to take it easy on the roads this morning. You are in for a foggy start to kick off your Monday morning. A man who crashed his truck into a canal at Big Spring Park is now out of jail this morning. Police arrested this man, Isaac Butler, early Sunday morning for driving under the influence. Now, take a good look at your screen. You see that truck right there in the distance? That's Butler's truck in the canal in Big Spring Park. Officers didn't report any injuries from the incident. A Coleman woman was killed in a multi-vehicle crash. That wreck happened on I-65 near Dodge City. State troopers say 30-year-old Christina Hopper was killed when her car collided with another car that was being towed. A third vehicle was also involved in the crash. Hopper died at the scene. State troopers are still investigating the crash.
New details, the USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group is deployed to the U.S. Central Command region. A bomber task force is also heading to the area. The White House says this move is due to troubling warnings from Iran. National Security Advisor John Bolton issued a statement saying, "We are fully prepared to respond to any attack." President Trump announced he's choosing former U.S. Border Patrol Chief Mark Morgan to lead ICE. In a tweet, the president called Morgan a, quote, true believer and American patriot. Morgan left his position as head of Border Patrol in January of 2017. Since then, he's emerged as a vocal supporter of the president's efforts to build a border wall.
Special counsel Robert Mueller said he's ready to testify before the House Judiciary Committee on May 15th. The representative for the special counsel has officially signed off on Mueller testifying. Last week, Mueller sent a letter to Attorney General William Barr saying he misled Congress when he released the redacted version of the Russia report. Well, one person who doesn't believe Mueller should testify, President Trump. The president sounded off on Twitter saying, quote, are they looking for a redo because they hated seeing the strong no collusion conclusion? Again, Mueller is set to testify on May 15th.
New information this morning, Russian officials say both flight recorders have been recovered after a deadly plane crash killed more than 40 people. Russian officials say the plane caught fire mid-air yesterday. It made a hard emergency landing. You can see here the plane was engulfed in flames as it landed. The plane had turned back after it had unspecified problems in the air.
This morning, the United Methodist Committee for the Alabama West Florida Foundation are working to help relieve Hurricane Michael survivors. A $4.6 million grant from the foundation will help launch and fund the first 2 years of a recovery program. The 4-year program will help those who did not get federal funds after the hurricane hit. And back here at home, as temperatures rise, get ready to see more snakes out and about. Neighbors near Pinhook Creek say they've seen more snakes come out recently. Experts say this is mating season for the reptile. Experts say you should be on the lookout for these deadly snakes. As you're out, they include cottonmouth, copperhead, timber rattlesnake, and pygmy rattlesnake.
In the WAAY 31 Storm Tracker Weather Center, meteorologist Rob Elbington.
Here's a look at downtown Huntsville. Rob, we're going to have a snake-friendly day here in the Tennessee Valley today.
Plenty of sunbathing for the snakes this afternoon, and even as your Tuesday afternoon. We're back up into the low 80s after seeing highs only in the 70s this past weekend. Tomorrow, upper 80s, maybe even our few spots touching 90 for the first time of 2019. We are concerned about fog this morning. Take a look at Guntersville right now. You can see all that fog that has set in, and some of these low-lying spots where this fog gets trapped. It's going to take a couple more hours for this fog to mix out, but for other areas where we're seeing plenty of sunshine already, that's going to continue to quickly mix out that patchy, dense fog. MoCast for the next 3 days. If you're not seeing fog, you've likely got some dew on your grass this morning, and of course on your car windshield if you parked outside. So it may take a little while for that fog and that dew to evaporate through the rest of this morning and into this afternoon. Same goes for your Tuesday morning, but no major issues for today and tomorrow. Into your Wednesday, could see a few hit or miss showers and thunderstorms. The chances are pretty low, so you can still get that grass cut for this upcoming Wednesday. Temperatures outside right now, low to mid 50s, much cooler than the last few days when we were seeing temperatures in the 60s for overnight lows. And you'll notice Florence has dropped to 49 degrees, so maybe even a light jacket, but you're going to be able to lose that quickly now that the sun is up and we start to quickly warm up. A wide look at storm tracker, radar, and satellite. We're seeing some passing high-level clouds. These high clouds originating from this major thunderstorm complex that developed yesterday, but it's going to continue to dissipate. If you watch it close enough, you'll notice it's slowly starting to fall apart. By the time it reaches the Mississippi River, it's hardly putting out any rainfall. So we're not concerned about this reaching the Tennessee Valley later today. We'll likely see some passing clouds from that, but we're not expecting any precipitation. Future radar, 9 o'clock this morning. You'll notice still seeing a little bit of fog holding in place for some of these low-lying spots, but that's about it. And we are seeing some of these passing clouds moving in by the late afternoon hours and into this evening. That's it. With mostly clear skies tonight, we'll likely see some more fog developing for some locations. And then by Tuesday afternoon, we're tracking just some high clouds, but mostly sunny skies. Let's take a look at the severe weather risk for your Wednesday. And you'll notice isolated severe thunderstorms are possible west and north of us on Wednesday, maybe even a stray shower and thunderstorm for your Wednesday, but that's about it. And then heading into Thursday, you'll notice that red contour getting a little bit closer to the Tennessee Valley. So some isolated severe thunderstorms very close. And this is for Thursday. We're still several days away, so this forecast could always change. We could also see that red contour move closer to the Tennessee Valley or right over top of the Tennessee Valley, and that's just something we'll have to continue to monitor. Low 80s today, upper 80s for tomorrow. Increasing chances for showers and thunderstorms. Better chances by far for Thursday into Friday. And you'll notice those chances stick around through Saturday, a little bit lower by Sunday. So still very active beginning on Wednesday of this week. And you'll notice on this forecast model, our in-house forecast model, not too excited for Wednesday, but by Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening, we'll start to see increasing chances for rain and thunderstorms. This is right around about 8 o'clock on Thursday. So things really starting to pick up by Thursday into Friday for the Tennessee Valley. Get your Way 31 real-time traffic alert. This is the same moderate crash that we first saw about 45 minutes ago. This is eastbound on I-565. Still some red on the map indicating stop and go, but this should be getting cleared up here pretty quickly. This is 565 eastbound, exit 3, County Road 115 at Greenbrier Parkway. Back to you.
It's now 6:50 on your Monday morning.
Up next, we'll have the Way 31 Fastcast with all your news headlines as you head out the door. It's 6:54. Let's take a look at the stories we're following as you head out the door.
This morning, we begin with Way 31's Rodnia Ross.
This is still an active scene here on Skyland Road. In the last 20 minutes, we know the coroner arrived here on scene. What we know is one person was taken to Huntsville Hospital with a gunshot wound. A second person died here on scene, but police are not yet releasing how that person died. Police tell us they have no viable suspects yet, but they do have persons of interest. Right now, there is no threat to the community. Casey?
At 9 this morning, Justin Dwayne King will walk into the Madison County Courthouse and face a jury for his capital murder trial. He was the prime suspect in a case back in 2016 where a man was killed in a house fire in Hazel Green, and then officials deemed it a homicide. And he's going to be making an appearance this morning. Greg.
The Oakwood University Choir will come home to Huntsville tomorrow night. That's after being involved in a deadly wreck in California. One person is dead after the collision between the choir's charter bus and an SUV. Officials have identified the victim as 51-year-old Kenneth Bishop.
Happening today, the Southern Poverty Law Center will address a recent ruling on Alabama prisons. A federal judge ruled Saturday that Alabama's Department of Corrections is not doing enough to address suicide prevention in their prisons.
China says trade envoys are, quote, preparing to travel to the U.S. following President Trump's new tariff threat. The president said 10% tariffs placed last year on $200 billion worth of goods will be increased Friday to 25%.
The USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group is now being deployed to the U.S. Central Command region. A bomber task force is also heading to the area. The White House says this move is due to, quote, troubling warnings from Iran.
A brand new Madison County Schools Fine Arts Center is about to come off the drawing board and become a reality. The plans for the Fine Arts Center include an 800-seat theater, band and choir rooms, and art classrooms. The project will cost $17.8 million and will be near Sparkman High's campus.
And the only traffic incident that we have been tracking so far this morning has been closer to Mooresville, eastbound on I-565. That came down about 45 minutes ago, so that should be getting cleared up here pretty soon as you hit the road. And we're also tracking fog. We have some dense fog throughout the entire Tennessee Valley, but we're seeing more widespread fog closer to Marshall County, DeKalb County, and into Jackson County. The sun has been out for about an hour now, so that'll start to mix out that fog heading through the rest of this morning and into this afternoon. So plenty of sunshine today. We're back up to the low 80s, so much warmer than this weekend. Take a look at tomorrow, highs in the upper 80s.
All right. Thank you, Rob. Thank you for watching. For 24/7 coverage you can count on, go to waytv.com.